Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Bible. And in case this is the only video that I post this month, Merry Krampus season. Yes, that's what I celebrate. And for those of you that don't know, in case you're freaking out, Krampus is not your average demon. Seriously. Look him up. He is a good entity. Okay? He is the yang to Santa's yin. Or, I may have that backwards. But, the point, like, he literally works with Santa. He's a European legend. It's great. All that. Punishes the naughty kids, drags them off to hell, throws them in a sack. All that. Conservatives really should be into him because, he's into punishing children the old school way by spanking them, amongst other things. But yeah, Krampus, he's a good guy. He is my reason for the season. And my buddy Jintom, what's his reason for the season? You said it, buddy. Squirrels. Which is why I couldn't say no to this one when I saw it in the store. And he doesn't mind wearing it at all. It's okay. You can go now. You can go. That was his second take. So, he's, from other videos, he's not a huge fan of sticking around for videos. But yes, and furthermore, and I didn't do this on purpose, but if it was the only video I did this month, it'd be very convenient because today's chapter that we are doing in Deuteronomy is chapter 25. And it is quite the chapter, nothing to do with Christmas. Obviously, all the crossovers and Christmas references end here, unless I keep the horns on, which I could. Since Krampus is a judge of the naughty children, and I am here to judge the naughtiness of the Bible, so to speak. So, why not? But of course, what is a proper episode what is a proper episode or any event of studying the Bible without a little burning of the bush to open the mind? And if you haven't seen it and you're into Krampus, go check out my Krampus comedy video that I did. That I made it was going to be a stand-up, but I ended up making a video specifically for YouTube for it. So, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If not, well, criticize the fuck out of it. Do what you do, internet. But today, we are criticizing, and giving props to chapter 25 of Deuteronomy, verse 1. If there be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. What is that saying? Well, it is, in plain terms, it is saying, if two men are fighting with each other, and they are brought before the judges, this is saying that the judges are to rule justly, to be honest about it. Which, straightforward, yes, I guess that's great advice. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? Okay. That's fantastic. There's nothing we can disapprove of there, but it's very so blatant. It's like, let's put it another way. If two people get into an argument and they are brought before a judge, the judge is to let the innocent person go and punish the guilty person. That's basically what that first verse says. Like, oh, shit, couldn't figure that one out for ourselves? I mean, thanks, I guess. We're just gonna run amok and judge whatever way we want to if we're not specifically told to this way, huh? We're just, okay. Has to be written down. I mean, in my opinion, that way of ruling is pretty freaking straightforward. I don't think I really need a deity to tell me to be fair. You know, maybe psychopaths need to be told to be good and to behave and to be fair and to think about others and to have empathy. You know, but, you know, a vast majority of people are born with empathy and with a pretty typical sense of right and wrong, like, and fairness. Like, come on, man. This is some pretty square peg, square hole type shit. Like, come on, man, you're insulting our intelligence here. Give us some meat. Give us some real shit. Well, God's gonna give us some real shit. Oh, yes, he is. And this right here is some very controversial shit. On a certain level. Which I will include as well. The verses. Because those verses aren't here, but they are connected. Yeah, verse 2 and 3. And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face according to his fault by a certain number. 40 stripes he may give him and not exceed, lest if he should exceed and beat him above these many stripes, then thy brother should seem vile unto thee. So God is basically saying a form of legal punishment is literally beating someone. It actually doesn't say with what. Like with what kind of tool, whip, or rod, or what. But it does say they can go up to 40 hits on the back. And you know, this was such a popular thing that, I mean, I don't, honestly, I mean, it's still done today as part of interrogation. We're just not advertised and told about it. But it was a very much public form of punishment, all the way, at least all the way up until, it could have been even further, legally speaking. It could have been further, but as far as I know, the last recorded case of people being beaten in modern civilization, legally being beaten in modern civilization, would be during the whole, I'm not sure if it would be Renaissance era, I'm not sure what it was called, but the piracy era of the high seas, when, you know, sailing ships were a thing, and all that. You could get legally whipped up to 39 times, I believe. I saw a documentary on it not that long ago, and I believe 39 was the legal limit. And I'm pretty sure it was 39 because of this rule right here. As well as the fact, because You know, unlike the Bible, the documentary on piracy was more expansive. Another reason why they did not go over 39 was because it was incredibly brutal and someone could die from getting beaten that much. Yeah, that's, yeah, that'd be a reason to be pissed off at the person that beat you, but, I mean, my God, 40 is a lot, man. And this is approved by God. But humans somehow evolved enough to no longer need to beat each other. We decided that shit is inhumane, and we do not need that as part of our legal system. And now, when the law is fulfilled properly, even law enforcement is punished for beating criminals because we're that evolved. We grew up. But this is God's idea of justice, beating the fuck out of each other. Oh, it's only 40 times, but yet humanity evolved beyond that. I feel like that's kind of a point for humanity on this one. And a major downer for God. Like, why wasn't God saying, there's a more humane way of dealing with people that you think deserve to be beaten? Like, Israel should have been ahead of its time on this, not alongside with everyone else. If they're the more chosen and advanced and elite chosen humans of God, they should be an example to how other people should act, right? Well, you know, if that's if God actually gave a shit about that. If he gave a shit about the majority of humanity. This version of God doesn't really seem to give all that much of a shit, if you've noticed from other videos and passages that we've gone through. I mean, literally the whole fucking thing so far. Fucking great, isn't it? And then we have this wonderful random verse because, you know, God thinks more about the animals than he does about what's humane for humans. Verse 4, thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth the corn. No elaboration, but lucky for you, I have some knowledge on this. What the fuck is this talking about? Well, when they would plow and sow the seed and such, the way things were set up, I can't really get into detail because I don't know all the lingo and have all the knowledgeable bits, but basically, as the ox would plow and there was food being dropped, the food would just, the way things were set up, the food would fall near the ox's mouth to where the ox could eat it if his mouth wasn't covered. And this is basically a command, and like a lot of people would cover their ox's mouth because, like, hey, that's our food we're trying to grow here. Like, and you're gonna get your food later on, so what's the deal? No, you're not eating my food. That makes sense. It really does. So why does God say? It's like it's just for good luck, you know? Or what? You know, this isn't even part of an offering back to God. This is just let your animals snack on your crops is basically what they're saying here. And no reason is being given. I mean, the animal is going to be fed later. they're going to be set out to graze or be given grain or whatever back in the stables. There's no logical explanation given, as usual, but not even a spiritual reason. There's nothing about it saying that it's an abomination if you don't. It doesn't say it's going to bring a curse on you. It doesn't say it makes the Lord sad. It doesn't give you any fucking reason. You're being nice to the ox. And for that reason, I give it a thumbs up. But that's the only reason. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to feed it later, why are you giving it food off your table? Now, this next chunk of passages, of verses, happen to be about something that I have discussed in a previous episode quite a while back. Even if you've been following along, you might not remember it, but it is a pretty wild little story. Of course, it is a story that most preachers would not talk about, and so we get to reference that again today because of these laws that are going to be given. So without any further ado, verse 5. If brethren dwell together and one of them die and have no children, the wife of the dead shall not marry unto a stranger. No reason is given, but let's keep on rolling. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. You catch what's going on here? So, there are two brothers, one of them is married, and he dies and has no children. Is that right? Yes, if he has no children. The wife is not to marry anyone else outside the family. She is to marry the dead brother's living brother. And he is to give her children. And those children are actually to not be raised in his name, but in his dead brother's name. So his dead brother can get his inheritance, and also his brother's name, which is kind of a big deal. And we'll get to the story about this in a minute, but let's keep going because the story isn't over yet. So, brother dies. Living brother has to marry the wife, the widow. So they can keep the property in the family. I'm assuming. We're not given the reason why, but that's what I'm assuming. No idea why. There's no other reason, there's no reason at all, really. But, yes, no marrying a stranger. Gotta keep it in the family, if possible. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. So the firstborn son. Perhaps the other children after will have his name? No, I'm not seeing that, but maybe that's the rule. I don't know. Hey, look it up for yourself. Verse 7. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, Then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, My husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. He won't fuck me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him, and if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, very interesting way of saying it, I like not to take her. I like not. I like not. Then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence, not that way, just walking up to him, in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from his foot, and spit in his face. Yeah, she spits in his face, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done unto him that man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loosed. Probably a shorter name for that, but yeah, so basically it is disgrace. It is a disgraceful thing to deny bearing your dead brother's wife's children. And that's somehow the penalty. You get called for it for the rest of your life, and you lose a sandal and have your face spit in. That's part of the deal. But what about the story connected to this? And how is it connected? Is there a story here in Deuteronomy about that? No. The story that happens, do you remember? Happens all the way back in Genesis. Genesis chapter 38, verses 9 through 11. And that is a little story that occurs. It happens where, I'm not going to get into the details, but, look it up for yourself. The man involved, his name was Onan, and he was told to do this, to impregnate his dead brother's wife. And instead of doing that, he went in, he did the Chaka Chaka dance, then he ejaculated on the ground, and then God killed him, and nothing about it was said ever again. And there was a crazy other story that happens after that, but those are the bits we want to focus on right now. Because God straight up killed the bastard. I mean, he may have been an asshole, maybe he deserved death, but we're not given a whole lot of details. All we know is that he wasn't going inside of her. And so God unalived him. Why wouldn't God offer a way out to him if he knew that might happen? And God has a way of, in the Bible, of offering things to people, offering opportunities to them to avoid problems, or to do better, or become better people, whatever. He gives them opportunity. Where was Onan's opportunity? in Genesis chapter 38? Was it because he was dicking around too much? I'm just saying, it's not fair treatment to just that guy and then be like, oh, well, if you... How does he put it? If you like not to take her, if she's just that unattractive, or whatever, or you hated your brother that much, or whatever reason, you can get out of it. But Onan, oh man, he doesn't even get a talking to. He doesn't get a warning. He got nothing. He got expectations, and he was like, you know what? Maybe not today. Maybe he wasn't ready to father a child. Maybe he wasn't in the right mindset for it. Maybe he just had a freaking heart attack. Some people are born with weak hearts. Maybe that was the first time he ejaculated and he didn't know what he was doing. You never know. He was like it kicked up his heart rate a little too high, and he just, well, it was not maybe not the worst way to go, to be honest. Like, come on. Oh, he died. God must have hated what he did. Typical superstitious chalking up. God just strikes him dead on the spot. Come on. There was obviously something more going on there. And then here's a good one for you ladies. As if we don't have, because women don't have a say in this, obviously. If they want to marry a stranger, no, you gotta marry your brother. So, let's just keep on rolling with that track, shall we? Oh, but you get to spit in his in his face if he doesn't want to. So let's keep on right on that track with respecting women Yahweh's way. When men strive together, verse 11. When men strive together, one with another, that is, they're fighting. If two men are fighting, and the wife of one draweth near, she comes close to help, for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him. She's coming to defend her husband. If she, just the way this is worded, okay. And the wife of the one draweth near, for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secrets. That means by the balls. So if a woman comes to defend her husband that's in a fight, and she grabs the other man's junk, this is what is to happen. Then thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not pity her. You will cut off her hand and have no pity. Like, shit, even if the husband was in the, even if, what if the husband's in the right? What if that guy was a prick and deserved it, And, is it just because she grabbed his junk, or are we talking, taketh him as in, squeezed until it popped or something, And even then, if she did take it that far, did the other guy deserve it? why can't we have those situations be possible? Like, what if that person was, a predator, and they were defending their child from him, and she was like, "You ain't ever gonna touch my son." You gonna cut her hand off for that? Like, come on. That's bullshit. It's like, oh, you're not gonna let her grab his balls and rip them off? Okay, I'll do it my damn self. But no, I honestly, I think the mother should get to rip off the balls of a predator that's coming after her child. Just saying. So yeah, I'm giving this one a massive thumbs down, because logic. It is the number one it is the number one defense for women and number one weakness for men. Les testicles. That's how you know a man, not God, wrote these laws. And then we have a little bit of fresh air. Verse 13, Thou shalt not have in thy bag divers weights, a great and a small. Thou shalt not have in thine house divers measures, a great and a small. But thou shalt have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure shalt thou have, and that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. So what's so great about that? Well, in short, what he is saying is, don't cheat your customers with fucked up weights. The way they measured out payment and food, a lot of the times they needed scales, they needed specific measurements, they needed weights to be able to weigh things. I know we don't use this anymore today, but we actually do in a little bit of a way. When you go to the grocery store and you scan bananas across the scanner, you have to weigh them because they are a certain amount of money per pound. And so you put them on the scale and it weighs it. I know you can't see it because of the way the machine is built, but back in the day, the people that, let's say if it was Walmart, the Walmart cashier would have to have weights that they would put on one end that were measured out. They had to be a very specific weight, and then they would put the item that was being bought on the other end. And then they would weigh it, and then the weight that would come up you see now on the screen is what they would see then, and they would say, that's how much you owe me for this amount of food. And basically God is saying, don't fuck with the weights. Don't cheat your customers. Why? Well, believe it or not, he gives a fairly logical reason, oddly enough, if you think about it. But you do have to think about it, because he doesn't really say straight out. Because what happens if you cheat customers? Well, they stop coming back. They eventually find out, and then they're not going to keep coming back anymore. And what happens if you keep on cheating people even after you've been found out? You just keep on cheating, keep on cheating, keep on cheating. Well, eventually they come for you. And if it's far enough back in the day, they just might lynch you. Or beat you 40 with 40 stripes, or who knows? Who knows what they might do to you? Because it doesn't really say. Maybe this would be a case where someone would be beaten with 40 lashes. I don't know. We're not actually told what cases are worthy where someone is worthy of 40 strikes. We are not told that. We're just told, whatever you lay it on, just don't go over 40. You gotta love the clarity of the Bible. But the logical reason that God actually gives for not cheating people is that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So what is he saying? You'll stay alive a lot longer if you don't fuck with people. If you stay honest. And yeah, I would agree. I would say that is very much how people tend to operate. Majority of the time. And then we wrap up the chapter with this lovely little interesting bit. And it may not sound very interesting at first. Well, it might, if you listen carefully. But it's going to get even more interesting when we reference back to it. Because, yes, this is another reference back to something that we get to go back and look at. Verse 17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. You get what's going on here? He's referring to a time when the Israelites had just left Egypt, and they were just passing by, and according to this passage, Amalek attacked Israel from behind. Their weakest, their slowest, which is interesting because, you know, obviously, like, who the hell travels like that? If you care about the children and the weak and the sick and the old, you don't travel with them behind you. You travel with them in the middle or in the front, even. Different places did it different ways, but it was very, very foolish to walk with all of them in the back. Just thought I'd point that out. Like, there's not even a guard here, like there's a rear guard or anything. Maybe there was a rear guard. Maybe Israel did walk with them behind for whatever stupid reason. Maybe they had a guard. It's not really mentioned. But either way, it's a very stupid position for those people to be in. And if that's how they traveled, that is something that definitely shows how much Moses really cared about the people. Because he wasn't being very strategic about it, if that was the case. Moses was in charge of that whole rally. It was on him that they were the ones that got attacked. If that's actually what happened here. And you'll find out why I'm questioning that in a minute. But we have one more verse. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. Thou shalt not forget it. So, in 4 words, God is commanding genocide. And, what is the previous reference, and what does it say about Amalek? Well, let's go back to Exodus 17, verse 8, and see what details we are given. Exodus 17, verse 8. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel. And Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out men, and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand. Yeah, and you can read the rest of the story all the way through verse 16, and there is nothing mentioned about Amalek striking the children or the weak or the old in the rear of the Israelites. It's not there. So, could Moses be lying? Could he be making this up after it happened? Why didn't he say it at the beginning, when it actually happened? And why did we see in verse 9 of Exodus 17 that Moses says, tomorrow we'll go and fight? Was it a different fucking fight? Oh, they hit our rear that consisted of the old people and the sick and the children. I'll write it down later. I'll fight them tomorrow. I'll come with an interesting story about it that I'll totally make up. But, we'll fight them tomorrow. I'm not going to write down where they hit us or that they hit us at all, because they came out to fight them. For all we know, they could have come out and challenged Israel, and Moses just decided to not write about the challenge. Like, no. You know what? Screw you guys. I'm just gonna write some shit about you guys. I'm just gonna make some shit up. Tell the Israelites that when they get their shit settled, they're coming after you. I wonder if that shit was personal. Like, it just makes no sense. And, like, if it was that diabolical of Amalek, it should have been mentioned straight up in Exodus. Like, why wouldn't it be? That makes no sense whatsoever. If it actually happened, it should have been mentioned. Why did Moses wait a day to go fight them? Was it a second fight that they were going to happen? Was that the first fight? What the fuck was going on? There is not any clarity. In fact, there's nothing mentioned about there being a first fight. It just says Amalek came out to fight Israel. And Moses said, pick some guys out to go fight tomorrow. tomorrow. That doesn't line up at all. Shady shit. Shady shit. And if I do not see you guys anymore this month, then, I mean, I'm going to do my best to get that other video out. I might forget. Shit happens. Shit might get busy. Work might pick up. Because I'm in between second jobs again. But we will see. I will do my best to get on top of it and get the story of when Christmas was banned to you by Christmas. Or Krampus evening. Until then, my friends, stay safe and farewell.